Hello.
Hey Justin, how you doing?
Well, doing good. Ready
Yeah.
to learn all this information.
As I'm just doing a mic check, can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Morning.
Yeah, I was also wondering, I guess, once you're ready or before you start stuff, is there like a already written menu programming kind of guide or documentation or anything like that?
There is. We have some documentation. I have sent that to Travis. I can send it to you as well.
Okay.
Um,
Well, if you don't mind, or I could just get them from Travis, whatever's easier. It doesn't make a difference to me. If it's like a task or trouble or anything, then I can just get them from Travis.
No, I can get it. It's no problem.
It'd just be dmoss@dcrpos. And then also Travis was just wanting to, he won't be able to make it today into this training. So he was just hoping he could get a link to the video once it was all done.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, well, there he is. Actually, never mind.
Didn't make it.
He still, I would think, wants a copy, but
Yeah. What was your email address one more time, Dustin?
I put it in the chat. It's dmoss, D for Dustin, MOSS @dcrpos.com.
Okay. Yeah, I see the chat
I don't remember ever seeing that. He might have sent it out to us, but I don't remember seeing that. And when I poked around on the knowledge base, I couldn't quite find documentation. I like all the little like quick kind of sheets or whatever you have for just random things. Those are pretty nice.
Yeah, the
Although,
quick
like,
reference guides. There's also
Yeah.
a bunch of quick reference guides for menu programming.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
I liked all of those things. So that's definitely going to be helpful. Especially for customers. I like that there's no login or anything blocking access to all that stuff. Silly that other places hide it behind that.
Okay, I'm logged into your guys' demo there, so we'll use that to get through the menu programming.
Okay.
So,
Now, are we doing that? Is it the OC server that you're doing that on, or the terminal?
The terminal probably. It's the I just have Splashtop SOS code for it, but it's the one that we
I
used
gotcha.
yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. That's the terminal. Jumping on in there. Okay, you're still gonna share. I'll just watch it off the share then.
Okay, we ready to get started, or we're going to be waiting on anybody else?
I think we're
I
good
think it was
today.
just me and Steven, or Steven and I, but looks like Travis in here, but I don't know if he's actively in here or.
Andy have both on, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, Andy too. Cool.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Going to quickly go through some of the basic menu setup, and then I'll focus more on the more advanced things using some of the features to really make the menu more functional for customers, because that's really where a lot of partners when they first get going, they'll create basic menus and not use some of the advanced features. So I want to make sure you guys know what those are and how to utilize them to really make really take your menus a step above. So under menu management, again, this was just under the control panel menu management. Then we have basic menu management on the left hand side, and we have advanced menu management on the right. So let's just hit these real quick. So this is going to be your menu categories. You have 3 different sets of categories that you can create, and there's a button at the bottom of the categories to swap between these 3 sets. So it depends on how complicated the menu is that you're creating. We generally try to keep everything in one set when we create a menu because it's generally less button presses for a customer. So anytime we're designing a menu, we try to eliminate button presses where we can, just to make it fast and more seamless for the user. So there are 3 sets. To create a button, you just select any of the empty spots, and this will create a category. You can give it a category name. The description will sync over to online ordering, so you can put that in there if you're going to be doing online ordering. Otherwise, you don't really need a description there. Website position will also be the default slot that it fits into for the online ordering. So it will, you can also rearrange that on the online ordering side. But this is just if you want it to sync over as it is. Then we have the button color, the font size of the text on the button, the text position, and you'll see these 3 settings for all the buttons. So whether you're creating a menu category or a menu item, you'll have these three options here for actually styling the item, as well as the image if you like to use an image for that as well. Time sets will show up in this box here as checkboxes. So you can set time sets on the category so it only shows up during certain times, as well as the order method availability down here. So you can have categories that are only available for certain order methods. Then we have the hide by terminal over here as well. So you can actually have this not show up on certain terminals if you'd rather do it that way than by order method. To edit an item, you would just select that, to edit a category, you just select the category, and you'll have all the same options here as well as a delete. The delete will deactivate all the items that are in that category underneath it. So if you want to remove the category, but you want to keep the items, you'll need to move the items into another category prior to deleting it here. The next button we have is menu items. So first thing you're going to see is the categories on the left-hand side here, and then you have the button to switch between the different sets. So it's only going to populate sets that actually have categories. You can see I only have to press it twice to get between the set 1 and set 2. It doesn't bring up set 3 because there's no categories there. But we can select a category to actually bring up the menu on the right-hand side over here, so we can edit that category. This is the drink menu. We have all the images added for the different drinks. To create a button, it's the same thing. You just select an empty space, and then you'll have all the settings available for the item. And to edit, you just select one of the ones that's already there. When you're programming a menu,
so in here, just so I'm following perfect with you. So categories are like your different screens and everything. Is what we're. Like the different items, right? Screens of items. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just trying to make good notes.
And the item, when you're programming a menu, you want to focus on the item name and the price. When we're programming in menus to start off with, that's the way that I'll just get all the items in. So you want to think about how the menu is categorized and sort of what makes logical sense for the customer. So if we have a quick service restaurant, we'll try to do less categories because they're really usually they're looking for speed. So if we can fit everything on the one screen, then we'll try to do that. For like table service restaurants and things like that, they might benefit from having it a little bit more categorized, so where they can find things a little bit easier in different categories. So you kind of have to think about what type of restaurant it is and what they're looking for effectively. We have the item name. That's going to be the name of the button and the name of the menu item when you bring it up. Then you have the price right here. So when we're first programming a menu, we'll just do price and item, and then we'll go back and organize things a little bit more once they're done. And we'll use multi-item edit to set a lot of the things, like we'll make sure the tax code's set properly with multi-item edit. Printers, things like that are usually a little bit easier to do with the multi-item edit than doing it when you program in those items. We have a few different ways to make some different types of items on the screen. We have the item has sub items. This will get rid of just about every setting you have down here that's specific to the actual menu item. And then we'll give you a button here called set up sub items. I'll show you a different item that's set up that way. But that basically turns this from a menu item into a button that takes you to basically like a subcategory. So you can have another level of category on the screen.
Luckily, there's a similar thing at Heartland Restaurants, so we're familiar with that, like sub items and stuff.
Then we have the actual item specific settings down here. Well, we have the thanks for the button. So like I said earlier, these are the color, the font size, the text position, and the image over here allow you to customize that button. And then we have the report category here. This is also important that report categories are set up for the customer when they get started. Because if you don't set these up, then you'll just have default category. When they do their end of day, they look at their operations report, their items won't be categorized into different sales categories. They'll just all be in default category. We've actually added a quick way to categorize everything under menu categories. You can see there's a create report categories button right here. This will create a report category that is tied to each category on the menu. And assign all the items that are in that category to that report category. So if you've designed the menu in a way that makes sense for reporting, then you can come in here and just click create report categories, and everything will be assigned as it needs to. If you want that to be a little bit more customized, you can create those report categories in the back office, and then you can assign them through the report category here, or through multi-item edit, which is a little bit easier to just sweepingly assign things. So some restaurants want to see that breakdown. They want to see, every category of sales, and then other restaurants might want to just see food, alcohol, wine, beer. They want to see a breakdown like that because that's what they need for their reporting for like liquor boards and things like that. If you want to add a countdown on this item, you can check this box here for a counter and put in the quantity. Every time you sell the item, every time anybody rings it up throughout the system, it'll remove one from that counter. So once it reaches 0, they'll need a manager override in order to ring up that item. Then we have the printer, the KDS station assignment down here. We have a print label. This is if you create any labels. These are more for things like a lot of coffee shops will use it, pizza places, where they have a label printer, and they have a label printout for every item that's sent back to the kitchen that they can then put on either the coffee cup or the pizza box. Then we have barcodes. So if they want to be able to bring up the item with a barcode scanner, you can scan the barcode here. Usually those are set up as inventory items, which is sort of a different, basically a different trading meeting. If you guys want to go over inventory, we can set up something for that. But for just a simple way to do it, you can just add the barcode right here. This also will be where you'll put the product lookup for scales that print barcodes. So if you have a customer that has a scale where they weigh the item, they print print the label, then stick it on the item for like prepackaged, deli things like that. You would put the product lookup part of the barcode here, and then on the back office, you'd have to configure how those barcodes are compiled. So usually they have the product lookup as one part of the barcode, and then the price as the other part of the barcode, and then it will link that to this item. And using the item price right up here, which will effectively be the unit price. So if it's sold by the pound, this would be the pound price. And then when you scan the barcode, it will calculate the total weight of that item based on the total price and the product lookup. Then we have a prep time down here. This is for the KDS system if they're using KDS prep times, to where it will actually hold the item and not put it on the KDS screen based on the amount of time that the prep times of all the items on the order. So if they want them, if they send them all back at the same time, then they're going to want everything to come out at the same time. So if something has a 10-minute prep time, and something else has a 5-minute prep time, the item with the 10-minute prep time will show up first, and then 5 minutes later, the item with the 5-minute prep time will show up.
Can that be controlled by view? In other words, if I have a expo view and, a grill view, you know what I'm saying? So the expo would still get it immediately, and then the grill gets it.
Yes, yeah, you can
Okay.
you can customize that per station.
Okay.
And then we have the sales reference down here. This is going to be to tie this item to another item on the menu. And so when you sell this item, it'll treat it as if, or sell either one of those two that have the sales items referenced together. It'll be treated as one item on the reporting side. So that's more for creating a copy of an item on the menu. So if they have some bars will have, all their liquor separated in different categories, but then they might have a speed bar screen where they have all their most common items on one screen. If those items are also found in a different category, you'll want to tie them together with the sales reference so that they won't have two separate items for reporting. And then we have some special item types over here. This is going to be appetizer will prompt for appetizer or entree, and will print differently depending on their printer settings. So it might, depending on how they have the receipt set up, they could have appetizers all print first with an appetizer label, and then followed by entrees. And we have also the drink. This will determine whether the item counts as a drink for the things. If they have the drinks for number of guests turned on, then it'll give them a manager override if they don't have enough drinks for the number of guests when they go to try to close out or print the ticket for that order. You can turn off modifiers. So if you have standalone modifiers that you're using on the menu screen and you don't want them to be able to be used with this item, you can check this box here. If it's a item that you don't want to print on customer receipts, you can actually check this box here for doesn't print. That would be for if you have items that are more for like kitchen instructions or something like that. You can have those not show up on the customer receipt.
Non-priced items only, right?
Correct. Yes. If it has a price, it will print on the customer receipt, regardless if this is checked or not. Then we have open item. This will actually get rid of a lot of the settings here and just get basically tax codes and printers. And also your report category can still be set here for open items. This is a way to create custom items that are already configured to go to certain printers, have certain tax codes, and go into a report category. So if they have like they could create a open liquor button to where whenever they bring that up, it won't be treated as a standard custom item. It'll be treated as a custom item that belongs to the liquor category. And you can also have like the printers pre-selected where it will print to the bar when they bring that up. You can disable gratuity from being calculated for this item. So if you have special items that you don't want to count towards the gratuity calculation, you can check that here. Then we have batch inventory. This will be a way to actually bring up a if they're using batch inventory to where like maybe they make a sauce or something like that that's used in other recipes for their inventory, they can create a way to bring up the batch of that inventory where it wouldn't go to sales, it would be, you know, a $0 item, but it would handle the, it would handle the inventory removal of the ingredients for that sauce, and then also add an inventory how much sauce they're making, so that they can keep track of that if they're really you know, have recipes set up for all their menu items and want it to be accurate. You can also make this a gift card item, which will completely change the screen and only give you the options for gift cards. So you'll have sell value, gift card value, and some additional options there as well. Discountable here, this is checked by default. If you want it to be non-discountable, you would just uncheck this box here, so it wouldn't be used in calculation of discounts. Then we have speed bonds. This is one of the ones that is really nice, and a lot of people kind of skip over this when they're making menus. Speed bonds are great. I'll show you an example here real quick. Let's go to the menu, and we have some items here that are set up with speed bonds and also without speed bonds. So if you see these under turf, we have the build your own burger, an example here using speed bonds, and a build your own burger with just the standard mod system. So if we go through the standard mod system first, you'll see that it's just going to walk you through the different choices here. So we have the bun choice.
Update. Like I'm not even, there we go. Now I see it.
Okay.
It's like lagging behind or something.
So we have the basically it's just going to walk them through each modifier set that's added to this, and they'll make the choices for those one at a time. So like this one is 4 basic toppings, so they get 4 options here. Then like the side, they only get 1 choice, but it's basically walking them through each step. Then we have, if we go back to turf, we have the speed bonds option for this. And when you click on this and bring up an item, you'll notice that they all come up at one time. So the server doesn't have to walk through and choose each thing one at a time. They can choose them in any order on the screen. So this is great for if they're using tablets to take orders at the table, or if they're doing phone orders. This is a way to where the customer is not always going to tell them in the exact order how they want the item. So they're able to jump around and just, they can ring up a sauce over here. They can then ring up the 4 toppings. They can ring up the bun, so they don't have to go through each one and switch between the modifier sets as they're rigging it up. Everything will just be on the screen, and if it takes up more than one screen, they'll have options down here, new buttons that'll jump between the screens. So if they have page 2 or too many modifiers for one screen. So that's like I said, that's really great for phone orders or taking an order basically in front of a customer, because they're not always going to tell them a way that, a logical way that they want the item that makes sense for ringing it up.
It gives them more like conversational ordering.
Yeah, conversational ordering was the speed mods, right?
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
And that's that checkbox is found right here.
Yes.
It's also available in the multi-item edit. So if you, again, it's something that we really don't pay attention to when we're first programming a menu, because we can go through with multi-item edit and set a lot of those things at one time and make those decisions later. You can actually make this item hidden on the menu so it doesn't show up by checking this box. That's useful if you need to create an item that's used in somewhere else in the system, but is it something that you like an item in a special or something like that. So you'll notice we also have a checkbox over here that item is a special. A special is a way to ring up a group of items so if they have like combos or if they have, a lot of places will use specials for like holiday dinners. If they do a special like Valentine's Day dinner where you get an appetizer, 2 entrees, and a dessert or something like that, you can create a special that will walk them through all the choices. They get 1 choice of appetizers. They'll show all the appetizers, and you can have the pricing be different for that special than for the normal items. A lot of times the special is just going to use items that are already on the menu, but if you needed to create one that that is used for the special that isn't available outside of the special, then you would make it a hidden item. And then open
Okay.
option, the next thing here, this is for just like open item, but basically creates a custom modifier that they can ring up directly from the menu screen without going to order functions.
Sorry, I was
Um,
typing the hidden part. What was the open option part? That's just adding like a miscellaneous button that you can do on it, or
Right. Yeah, so they
Modifier,
can just,
yeah, an open modifier, basically.
and next here
open
we have
mode.
right. The next we have a request quantity. So this is going to basically prompt for a quantity if this is checked when you bring up the item. So if they have an item that they bring up either by the pound or maybe they have a something like some restaurants will have wings for, not many have them anymore, but they used to have them for wings for 50 cents each. And you use request quantity and it'll actually pop up and ask them how many. You can set a unit for this. The unit is just for when the screen pops up, it tells them what unit to put the quantity in as. So if it's something that they sell by the pound, it'll ask for it in pounds. If you don't select a unit here, it'll just ask for a quantity period. The auto scale button is if they're using one of the integrated CAS scales. The PD2 is the model that we're integrated with. They have a few different specific models of that one based on weight capacity of the scale. But if you have that set up using its OPOS driver, you can check the auto scale button alongside the request category. And when you bring up this item, it'll automatically connect to the scale and try to see how much the scale is currently reading and automatically bring that up if it's not 0.
And you would just tell it through the like the printers kind of setups and stuff like that it has a scale attached to it.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool, yeah.
And then we have the price levels. This is going to be used for usually for price level promotions. So if they have like a happy hour to where like let's go to a bar item. So we have like Budweiser here. If they have a happy hour, so normally they sell Budweiser for $5. You could set price level 1 to $4, and you can actually rename these price levels as well in the back office. So if you want to use price level 1 for happy hour, you could rename that to happy hour. So it's a little bit easier to see which one is which over here. But this will, you can set up a period. So if they have happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, you can set that to be active during those times. And then when they bring up this item automatically during those times, it'll ring up to $4 instead of $5. You also have some auto price options here under the price level setup. So if you can set like your happy hour price level to automatically price it $1 less than the normal price or $2 less, however they're doing their promotion, if they're doing it a specific way like that. And then all you have to do is click auto price. It'll fill in the price level prices based on that price.
So I'm sorry, auto price will just fill in the rest of those with what you've already put in?
Yeah, with so if we go to the price level setup here you can rename the price levels. You can have the a text that shows up in front of the item when it's ringing up during that price level period. And then the auto price here, you can have it set so if they have things that are 50% off, so you can do it as 50%, or you can put -1 total adjustment. And if when you click auto price, it'll take whatever this auto price setting is here, and it will calculate that based on the price of the item. So that this would take $1 off the price of the normal price of the item.
I gotcha.
So
Yeah,
so
sorry, I
most
don't
of
know
the
why,
time,
but my screen is like lagging. So it's like you were already on this price level screen. I didn't even see how you got to it. It's weird, but it's all good. Hopefully the recording, I can rewatch it and it'll show me everything. I don't know.
yeah, and that's right here under advanced menu management, the price level setup.
Yes, don't see that. I'm still seeing the price level list, but
Okay.
It's all good. I'll just try to rewatch the video or something. But I'm taking notes and listening now still.
All right. So then I'm back to the menu item screen now. So we have some buttons down here at the bottom for adjusting how things show up on the screen. So if we go to one of these other categories, let's say we wanted to move these chicken wings down here, we can actually click move item, select the item, and then anywhere else on the menu, and it will move that item to that. You can actually move between categories as well. So if you select the item and go to pizza, well, that one doesn't have enough space, so let's try pasta. You can actually move that item to a different category. So you don't have to, it's not locked into the category that's initially created the button on. Merge buttons is how you'll make items bigger. You can see all these are taking up 2 buttons wide. When you can, we do recommend making the buttons bigger. So we actually will try to stick with 2 wide for most of it. It just gives you a much better presentation with the name of the items. You can make the text bigger and make it a little bit easier for people to see. If you wanted to make them even bigger, you would be on merge buttons. Select the button you want to merge, and then another button to the right to take up all those spaces. If you wanted to set it back to what it was before, you can go to reset size, select the item, and it'll set it back to the default 1 by 1. So if we wanted to set this one back to 1 by 2, we can just use merge buttons again to expand it out to 2.
What's the largest?
There's no limit on that as far as the screen. You could have the category screen be just one giant button if you wanted to.
Okay.
So like if we move this one here, we can actually have it fill this whole spot. Not really that useful, but it allows you to do that. Again, we recommend 1 by 2, 1 by 3, even if they have longer names. Just enough. You want it to be big enough to where you can get more items on the, or more text on the button if they have longer item names. Next button we have here is alphabetize. This will basically reset all the items back to 1 by 1. So you only want to do this if you have a category like maybe a bar category where there's a bunch of liquors on the screen, or draft beer. Usually that's another way that a lot of people use alphabetize, and it'll just put the buttons in alphabetical order. So if they have a lot of places that have a lot of beers on tap, they'll have the number of the tap first, and then the name of the item in the item name. So if you alphabetize, it'll actually order it by the name of the taps if they've programmed it that way. Next button we have here is create standalone modifier. You'll see in a lot of the menu categories in this demo unit, we have like deli subs. We have the subs on the left-hand side. These are the menu items. And then everything over here on the right-hand side is modifiers. So this is a way to do modifiers. These are all standalone modifiers. So you can do these modifiers without creating modifier sets, and they're right on the screen. So when you bring up an item, you can then use the modifiers that are on the screen without having to go to a separate modifier set. They have the same options that modifiers have. If you click on them, you'll see the screen again when I show you the actual modifier sets. But it'll have the modifier name, the price, and any of the modifier mods that you can bring up alongside it. So the double no sub on side, and prices for each of those as well. And these are all customizable under the modifier mods button here. You can actually decide what these are. So if you have a pizza restaurant, you're probably going to have right half, left half, so people can customize the halves of the pizza. A lot of other places will have double no sub on side. Those are pretty standard ones, but you can make these whatever that you want it to be. And these show up at the bottom of the screen when you're on the menu screen. So these are these buttons right down here, and they can be used like if I go to the deli subs, let's ring up a BLT sub, and you can see that automatically has these some of these modifiers checked. So I'll show you how to do that when we get to the advanced functions. But this allows them to uncheck an item. If they do there, then you'll see no lettuce is automatically added because we've unchecked it. If we want to use the double button on lettuce, we can actually change that to double lettuce. And if that had a price set for double lettuce, it would charge the amount that was for the modifier for that. Then we have multi-item edit down here. This is going to be what we do after we program a menu, and we've only really focused on the name and the price when we're programming it in, because it's a lot faster to just go ahead and get that data in the system. And then we can use multi-item edit to organize the menu. You can go by category here. So if you want to go to like deli, for instance, where we just were, you'll see these are the subs that are added under deli subs. You can use the check all button down here to check everything in that category. You can uncheck certain things if you don't want to update them with whatever change you're making over here. So you can update the item price. This will set all these to a specific price. If you want to make a price adjustment over here on the right hand side, you can put in the value for the price adjustment here, and then it's a value which is basically a total adjustment, just like the price levels, or a percent. So if you want to raise everything by 5%, you would just put 5 in here, make sure it's set to percent, and then update, and it will sorry, you need to put 0.05. And it will adjust checked items by 5%. So it'll raise everything by whatever percentage you have set in here. Same thing with the value. If we just want to raise everything by $1, we can do that, and then these prices will be updated by $1. Then we have the button colors, report categories, the time set. So you can make sweeping changes to any of these options. You can even set the price level adjustments that we were showing earlier. You can set those across different items at one time. So if you want to set the happy hour price for those items to $1 less, you can do it from here. Printers, KDS stations, whether it's discountable, the special item types are here as well. So drink, appetizer, speed bond. We've actually added a new one recently called alcohol. That's only used so far for a DoorDash integration that we've created. So if they're using the DoorDash drive system, where they can place orders through their system and send them to DoorDash to be delivered, DoorDash does need to know if something is an alcohol. So if they do delivery for alcohol items, DoorDash has to know that, so that they make sure that they get that they're actually delivering to an adult, somebody of legal drinking age, for those alcohol items. Then we have item availability down here. This is going to be the different order methods. You can set those to available yes or no for multiple items. And then one that I use a lot is the modifiers down here. So you can assign modifier sets. You can add and remove modifiers, type sets, and counter sets. Also recommended item sets. You can add and remove those from any of the checked items from here as well. And then we have, I did skip over modifier sets, so let's go back to that real quick. So here you can see the modifier sets that are programmed into the menu. If you, let's say you create a steak entree and you need to have a meat tip modifier set. We already have one here, but if you needed to create one, you would go to new set. You would give it a name that that is descriptive of what the set is for. That'll help them assign it to the items later. So we would call that like meat temp here. And then you have a modifier set type. So you have option set, type set, and split quantity type set. These, some people struggle with the difference between them. I like to use a pizza analogy for the different types of sets that you would assign to a pizza. So at the base, a lot of these have different options that you can set, like allow multiples, things like that. That'll change how it behaves. But if you don't set any of these things down here at the very core, an option set allows you to ring out all of the options that are in that set. There's no limitation on it. You can ring up one of everything. So an option set would be if you have like a custom pizza and you wanted to let them add toppings to that pizza, the toppings would be an option set. Because there's no limit, they can choose as many toppings as they want. They might charge per topping, that would be set up in the price of the modifier that is for each topping. But the system's not going to limit them to one selection or two selections. They can choose every single one if they want. Then you have typeset, and a typeset at its core is only going to let them choose one of those things. So if you're doing a custom pizza and you have a choice of crust, you can't choose every crust. They can only make the pizza with one type of crust. So it'll limit them to only selecting one of the modifiers that are in this set. You can again, you can use these like allow multiples down here to so you can say I think 2 choices. So if this is checked and it's 2, then it will limit them to 2 of those choices. So that's useful if they get like side choices. So if an item comes with 2 sides, you can set it as a typeset and then do allow multiples maximum 2. If you want them to have to make the selections for this, you can set it as required. If required is checked, it'll require that they choose at least 1. If you change minimum to 2 along with allow multiples 2, then this will require that they choose 2 sides. One thing you do want to keep in mind is if you make a typeset required and it's something like a side choice, you usually need to give them an option to not ring up a side if that's allowed. So that you would want to create a side choice modifier called no side. Otherwise, they'll be forced to ring up 2 sides, or that item won't be able to be sent back to the kitchen. Then we have the sort order that will determine the order that these modifier sets will show up when you actually are looking at the modifier screen. So by default, everything's 999. They're all sorted by this number. So the lower the number, the closer to the front it will appear. So if you put 1 in for this one and there's nothing below 1, it'll be the first one that appears. You can also do zeros. This supports negatives as well as decimals. So if you have 2 sets, one's already set to sort order 1 and another one set to sort order 2, and you want something to show up between them, you could put it in as 1.5, and this will be sorted between those 2.
And if everything is on 999, does it sort alphabetically or as entered, or how does that work?
It'll be alphabetical. So it's goes by sort order first, and then by the modifier set name.
Okay.
So for example, we have the meat temp here. If we edit that, you'll see that set as a typeset because they can only choose 1 meat temp. Required is selected. The minimum will show as 0. 0 is basically the same as 1. If required is selected, it forces them to make at least 1 choice. The minimum here is really only if they get more than 1 choice, and they have allow multiple set to how many they get there. Then we also have a checkbox for auto add all options. This will basically just automatically select all the modifiers that are in that set and add it to the item. That's useful if we have one place that uses that for the type of glass that the draft beer comes with. So they just create a modifier set for each different type of glass, and then they assign that modifier set, and the modifier set will have auto add all options. So if they have, a 16 ounce pint glass in a modifier set, and they assign that to the actual beer, and they have auto add all options selected, when they ring up that beer, it'll automatically ring up a modifier that says 16 ounce pint glass. So if they want to be able to send that back with the item, that's one way to do it. This was created before we had our auto add options over here, the auto add modifiers to items. So there's actually 2 ways that you can do it. But if you're just trying to ring up a modifier set and you don't really need to use the additional options of the auto add, that's an easier way to do it. Because then all you have to do is worry about that the modifier set is attached to the item. And to attach a modifier set to an item, that's this last button here on the basic side. That's add a modifier set to a menu item. Over here, you'll have all your, so if we like go to the deli subs, you can select an item and you can see all the option sets that are added and all the type sets. And you would just check one of these to have that be prompted whenever you ring up that BLT sub. And you can also do that through multi-item edit. So if you want to do add a set to multiple items, you can check them all over here and choose which set you want to add and then click add. So since we're talking about the auto add modifiers, I'll go ahead and show you the advanced function here. So we have the auto add modifiers to items. You would select the item on the right hand side. We can I'll show you how those deli subs. So earlier we're looking at that BLT sub. When we ring it up, a lot of the modifiers were already selected. So when you choose the item, the modifiers that are populated over here are going to be any modifier sets that are attached to that item will show up first. These are only using standalone modifiers, so there's no set that shows up first. You can see all these sets start with standalone. So the standalone modifier sets, those are going to be any modifiers that are created as standalone modifiers on the menu. And then we have, when it is a standalone modifier, it'll tell you what category it's in. These are listed alphabetically. So we have the Asian category modifier sets, those show up first. If we scroll down, we'll see, then we get to the deli subs. And you can see that we have bacon and we have auto add and hide enabled for bacon. We also have the other things down here, lettuce, mayo, Monterey Jack cheese, pepper, I think there's salt. Yeah, salt and tomato also added to that. The difference between auto add and hide is auto add will add it as if it was just rang up by the user. So it will show up under the item. It'll print on the receipts. Auto add and hide is it will check that modifier, but it won't show up under the item, but it won't print on the receipts unless they make a change to that modifier. So you saw earlier we had lettuce, and lettuce was checked, but it wasn't actually listed under the item name. But then we unchecked it, and then it said no lettuce. The auto add and hide is how you'll enable that functionality to where it doesn't show up normally.
It's like a default, like just default modifier.
Right.
Well, what is that? Okay, so I think I kind of got lost. Sorry about that. The auto add does what? That auto adds it shows up on.
It's as if you actually push the button. The auto add and hide is similar to Heartland Restaurant's default selections, where like they automatically add, but they don't like show up because they're already, you know what I mean? When you have default ingredients.
So the auto add is like you push the button, so that will print to the kitchen. Auto add and hide will not print to the kitchen.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a customer that auto add isn't used very often in my opinion. Auto add and hide is usually what you're looking for to create those default modifiers, like you said, Heartland calls them. Auto add can be used for, we have a restaurant that's a pizza place that has a lot of specialty pizzas, and they don't want good employees because they don't want their kitchen to memorize what comes on the specialty pizzas. Instead, they'll auto add the toppings that come on those specialty pizzas, and when somebody rings it up, it'll actually print all the toppings that come on that pizza. So all they have to do is look at the receipt and say, okay, we got a meat lovers that comes with pepperoni, sausage, hamburger, whatever else comes on the meat lovers pizza.
Makes sense on that, like lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles all come on a burger. You don't need that to print in the back. But where I see the auto add coming in is if you have a dinner with a default side, fries, garlic mashed potatoes, where we see the challenge with that is when you uncheck that through, or you change that through Heartland. I'll just use that, but it doesn't say no garlic mashed. It just shows another side out there. So it was confusing people, but I think I understand, and I think that would work for that aspect. Right. It would say no fries, baked potato, or no fries. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. So this is something that when a lot of people are setting up menus, they they kind of neglect some of these advanced options, including the auto add modifiers. It really can put the menu, the functionality of the menu at a higher level. So I do really encourage using the auto add modifiers, using speed mods, using these advanced functions that you may not think about when you're programming the menu, but they really elevate the menu when they're the usage of it. So if you have that done, it kind of sets it apart from some of the other systems, and really can provide that we talked about this in the training meeting, the stickiness of the customers. So if you're doing something with them that's something that, even if it's as simple as something how their menu is programmed, that a different POS system that they're looking at can't do, then that allows them to actually think about that. If somebody comes in and tries to sell them a different POS system, like, oh, well, can you guys do these the way we're doing a menu here? And they may not be able to do it. And that might be a reason that they're not going to switch POS systems.
Yeah, we like to try to do that with our systems too. It's like when we went to Heartland Restaurant, it's kind of hard to get people to want to use all the features and everything, but like, we just kind of push them into it. It's like, everybody,
Right.
just so that it's more complex and actually, accomplishes exactly what they need.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly it. So on the advanced side, we also have some things that aren't really that advanced, but they're not used quite often. So like we have the menu item time availability restrictors. These are it's just a fancy word for time sets. So this is where you'll actually create your time sets. So you can give the time set a name, and then you can set whether it's available on these days. So if you have something that's only available, let's say from 4 to 8 p.m.
Like a happy hour
on Thursdays. Yeah. So this might be a special item that they only have available during these days. You would give the time set a name, and then you can assign that time set to an item, and the item won't appear. That button will not appear on the menu if it's assigned to a time set and it's outside of that time.
And do managers like always see those items or anything like that?
They can. So under order functions on the screen, there is a show all menu items.
Cool.
So you can have this protected with a privilege so that you can only have certain people able to
Right.
do it. And
if
then
you have to ring it in outside of the hours to fix a ticket or something. Yeah.
right. Or if there's an item that's not showing up because of any of those availability options. So even if it's on a different order method that's not available for that, that allows it to show up, and they can bring it in that way.
Cool.
Then we have recommended item sets. These are just kind of like upsells. So you can create like if you create one called drinks, you can then add you can check the drinks for this, and then if you assign that recommended item set to an entree, the drinks will show up like a modifier set does. But they will be separate items, so the reporting will be as if they just sold the item.
So it'll just take it'll pretty much just take the drink screen and turn it into a modifier form to pick on the screen.
Correct. Yes.
Cool.
Then we have I showed you the price level setup. This is where you can set up those like the happy hour. You put HH for the this will actually show up in front of the item when they ring it up during this price level. Another thing you can do with price levels is if you have special pricing that's not really a price level promo, you can select an item, and when you go to comp, you have the option to either do a percentage or a price level. So if you needed to comp something to one of these price levels, you can see we have the happy hour there. You can choose a reason and then comp that item, and whatever the happy hour price is for this item, it'll change to that. This one is probably 0. So if we did this, it will change it to free. But that's one way they can set up special pricing. Like maybe if they have special pricing for a certain customer group or something like that, they can select all the items on the order, comp it to that price level.
And what was that under that last one? It was under price level setup?
Price level setup, yes. Okay. So this is just where you would actually configure the names and the pretext. So this is a way to help organize the price levels, so that they're not just price level 1 through 10. They don't have to remember, oh, I used price level 1 for happy hour. Now I'm going to have a Sunday fun day promotion. They can make that price level 2.
just real quick, I want to jump back to the recommended items. Does that occur online also on the online ordering? So if I, order something, well, no, that's not going to be, that wouldn't be the same way. Just thinking of like,
I believe it is. I definitely know it was on our version 1.0. I'm not 100% positive on our new version 2.0. But I can find out and make sure. I know everything was supposed to be supported from our 1.0 version when we redesigned it. So it should be, but I'm not familiar with anybody that's actually used it. Recommended item sets is one of the lesser used functions in the menu system. A lot
Seems
of
like
people
everybody
just,
wants it and they talk about it, but then they don't use it.
yeah, but
right,
Like
exactly.
inventory and stuff.
I think about
But
like
we have a bunch of places that would do that, yeah.
buddies that when they ring up a barbecue sandwich or anything like that, they're forced to answer extra meat or no meat. So, extra ounce or no ounce or none. So that would kind of fall in that spot, I would think, like a recommended spot on there, extra meat, no meat. Now on those recommended, that's what they are, though. They're just recommended, so they're not forced. You would still have to kind of do the same thing as option type to make it required.
Yeah, because the item sets, those would be like recommended actual items, not necessarily modifiers like you're saying with the extra meat, right?
right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So your example, you would probably set those up as modifier sets.
Required, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then, yeah,
so
and then they would be required like that. But then the item sets would be like if you ordered a barbecue sandwich and then but no drink, then it says, hey, but you want to drink with that or something like that.
right.
Yeah.
Because the next button we have here is add a modifier set to a modifier. So this is going to be very similar to the add a modifier set to a menu item. But this is how you would add a prompt for a new modifier set if you bring up a certain modifier. So for example, you have side choices. Maybe one of the side choices is a side salad.
Right.
So you have two ways that you can do it. If there's only a few dressings that they offer with the side salad, they could make those modifiers, side salad with ranch, side salad with honey mustard, side salad with Thousand Island, and be done with it. The other option they can do is they can have side salad, and then they can create or they can reuse the dressings modifier set that they've created for their salads. They could come in here and so I think we have side choice. Yes, side up here. So we do have side salad here. I'm not sure if we have a dressings. It looks like we don't have a dressings modifier set, but if we did, you would just check that over here.
Just call it test.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll do test there. So when we ring up one of those, so I think those examples that we had earlier, like the burgers had that. So if we ring up like the venison burger again, you can see test is here, but it's grayed out. We can't select it. So if we choose under the side salad, then test then becomes available. And you would set these up to where they're in the basically where test shows up right after side. Looks like this is actually supposed to be way over here. So somebody's changed the sort order of the side. But if you had that test come immediately after the side choice, it would skip over it if they don't choose side salad. And if they did choose side salad, it would go right to it.
So you'd normally want those pretty much kind of, does it really matter the placement exactly, or do you normally would want that test to be set up right after?
Just for flow. Generally,
right
I'd want it right after. It doesn't have to be. You're right. It can be like it functions as it is right now, to where side is for it. But then you're either being taken.
Those. Okay.
Yeah, you might be taking it, especially if it's after. If the modifier set is before the modifier that enables it, then it will actually skip over it when it gets to it, and it doesn't take them back to it. They would actually have to select it. There's no modifiers under this test set, so nothing showing up there. But if we change this as well, you'll see that the test is back to deactivated.
Even if it's in that order, though, the salad dressings, would they still print correctly underneath the salad, or would they end up falling before it? Or is that again, certain
So,
way that you,
so yeah, you do want to, that's another reason to make sure it's falling in logical sense. So if they bring it up that way, it will. If they're on the main screen like this, it'll bring it up in the order that they actually select it, unless you have sort orders set for the modifiers themselves. So you can force it to always show up under the salad, as long as you have those print. I think they're called ticket order or print priority. Let's see what they're print priority. So print priority here will be how it's organized on the tickets, and then we have sort order, which is how it's organized on the screen. So when you're ringing it up, sort order will be where the item falls in the list. So it's going to be alphabetical if they're all the same. So you can see these are all the same. But if you set one of these to 1, then that's going to show up before anything else. But it's going to print in the order that they ring it up on, unless print priority is set for the items here. Then you can force it to always print in a certain order. So if you want to skip the print priority, you just want it to be prompted for the user in the order you want it to print. The last thing we have here is the menu counter sets. This is going to be how you can, like when I showed you there's a counter checkbox on items. So that's going to be if you basically have limited quantities of this specific item. But sometimes you might have limited quantities of something that's used in multiple items. So if you have, let's say you have 3 steak entrees, and they all use the same cut of steak. And if you have 10 of those left, you would actually want to create a menu counter set. And then you would add the items. You can just select the items that fall into it in here, and they will basically all share the same counter. So every time you sell any of those 3 different items, it'll count down all 3 of them.
is that going to work on modifiers? A side item of a baked potato. I've got 10 baked potatoes left.
It is not going to work on modifiers. It's strictly for the item level.
Okay.
Yeah, remove that one that I just created. That's blank. So that's basically everything for the menu. Then we do have a button down here called Upload Menu to Cloud. So once you make changes to the menu, you're really only going to need to use this button once. And once we release the one-click deployment for online ordering, you really won't need to use this button unless you want to replace a menu online. But this initiates a full sync of the menu to the online ordering or any of the cloud services that use the online menu, like QR ordering. If they have QR menus where they just want to have their menu available to view online, but not actually to order. Then we also have our kiosk system uses the online menu. So if they need to push the menu changes to the kiosk, they can do that here. Again, they don't really need to do this right now. They only need to do it the first time, and then the changes will automatically sync when they make changes. So if they change the item of the price of an item, that will automatically sync over to the online ordering without having to push this. But it does have to be pushed to initially sync the.
You just have to do it
menu.
once, essentially,
Right.
first time. And do you just typically do that once you're kind of done with the menu? You just hit that once, or do you?
Yeah,
that's what you do. Just hit it.
yeah.
Once at the
Typically,
end.
when you're done, or if they're a restaurant that is getting online ordering added on, then you would come in here
sure.
and do that once before after the online ordering's been set up. But again, this will actually, you won't need to do this at all once we have one-click deployment rolled out for partners. We're using it internally now, and it initiates the sync of the menu, so where you don't have to come in here and do that. Any questions about menu programming? I know there's a lot involved, and you'll probably have
sure.
questions
Yeah,
once you're working on it. But
yeah, we'll probably start playing around, make our little test systems ourselves, and then we'll have plenty more questions for another round.
Okay, anything else you guys wanted me to touch on before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I think my problem originally was just I was using the web-based, and apparently the web-based lags behind a whole lot.
Yeah, so everything that we've gone through is available in the back office. When I'm programming menus, I always use the front end.
Oh,
Because it is,
Yeah, I'm
oh, you
sorry.
mean the,
I just meant my lag delay that I was having problems with. I figured it out
okay.
because I wasn't actually using the Zoom program. I was doing it through the web.
Oh, okay, got it.
So if you ever
But
hear
that
that again,
yeah, that did prompt this for me. So everything that we've done here is available on the back office as well. So this is great for if they have remote back office set up, they can work on their menu through the remote back office system. However, I always program this menu through the front end because it's not a browser based. So kind of similar to the issue you're having where you had it through the browser instead of the app. Anytime you like add an item or make a change or anything like that, because it's browser based, you just have to wait for it to refresh. It's not that slow. If you're just making a few changes, it's actually pretty quick. But if you're programming a menu, it's just you eliminate all those. Yeah, you eliminate all of those little
bottlenecks.
Less than a second wait. Those will add up over time if you're trying to add 50 items. And that could be additional time that you could spend doing something else. So
that's actually sometimes an issue with Heartland Restaurant right now. Their website can get bogged down when you're making it, and it just adds extra time for no reason.
Yeah, it doesn't really do that. It's just more of a,
I got you. Yeah.
If you click something here, it comes up, pretty much right away.
Right, but it has to reach out, get that information, and come back. So there's some time.
Yeah, so the time, it might take twice as long for it to load. And when we're talking about, half a second, it's going from half a second to a second. It's not really noticeable unless you're programming a full menu. Then it's kind of like, oh, well, it felt slow. It's not really slow. It's just that you're doing a lot. So I always do it through the front end because it's just more snappy.
Scott, real quick, kind of jump back to couple of things on that. One, when you mark an item as an appetizer, it automatically asks if it is an entree or an appetizer. Is that what is it? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes. So like if we go to the appetizers here, you can see the edamame here. Thomas named this app /entree. So he has this enabled here. So when you ring it up, it's going to ask you for appetizer or entree.
Cool. And then pick 3, I'm assuming is a special.
No, I think this is using this is using a set.
Okay.
I don't think we have a special set up on the demo menu.
Okay. So when I pick 3, let me ask that if I do pick 3, back to it. If I do it as a special, and I have apps and I have entree and I have maybe a salad in between or something like that, how does that flow? Am I still picking everything immediately and sending it all at once? I mean, I know that you can select what actually sends back immediately, but
is it like sending off the app and then going back and asking them what they want for dinner and then ringing that in, but it's still all on the special, you mean?
So for the special, you do have to ring in everything at the same time because it basically forces you to finish that special before it can be completed. So if you do it and it's giving you a choice of appetizer, 2 entrees and a dessert, if you try to ring it just the appetizer and then close out of the special, it's not even going to ring up that appetizer. It's going to tell you didn't finish the special. Because those items are all tied together for special pricing, they do all have to be rang in together. But once they're added to the order, you can then send back just the appetizer if you want, because they will show up as separate items on the screen. If you try to remove one of them, it'll warn you that you're going to be removing the special, and it'll remove all the items that are in that special. And then when it prints on the customer receipts, it'll group those items together under a special item. But when you actually ring it up, you do have to ring up the full special. But then they are separate items technically on the screen, so you can send them back to the kitchen separately if you have like the kitchen selection turned on.
Okay, so you can, so to do that, like to send certain items, do you just click on a certain item and then there's just some option that you can send
So
off, or?
there's the terminal setting here for kitchen selection. It looks like it is on for this one. You can have that set to off or auto. Auto will send back any items that they ring in anytime they leave the order screen. So if they sign off or if they go to a different order, it'll automatically send the order that they were on. If we have that off, then it will only send when they actually push send, but they won't have to choose the items. And then if it's on, it will only send when they select send, but they get to choose which items go back. So if we go back to our
Yeah, we can.
table here, if you click on send, or so I rank it to SPIC 3, but I didn't choose the options. So let's do that. Looks like there's a few things that I didn't finish here. Actually make it quicker just to remove this venison burger. Okay, so any items, and it will only show items that are assigned to printers over here, so none of these are assigned to go to any remote stations. But the items will appear over here. They can select them to highlight them, they can select all or select none.
And that's the
and
items
then
pending
send.
is based off of just whatever you have rung up on the ticket currently?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah, so if I ring in a custom item, call it test. Give the price there and actually sign it to a printer. When I go to send, it will show up over here so they can select it and send. You can also enable kitchen timing. So it says send now for this button, but if you enable the timing, you'll actually have a button below it called send later. Then after you choose send later, it'll pop up with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they can actually choose how long to wait to actually print that item in the kitchen. So if they want to send their appetizers back now, and then they can select the entrees and click send later and then choose like 10 minutes, then it will go, they won't have to go back to send it later. It'll automatically just print 10
Right.
minutes from now into the kitchen.
And now,
Yeah.
does this mean that I would have, like, if I was just regular server, I could ring in a ticket, save it, and it didn't send anywhere?
If you have it set to kitchen selection off and they don't push send, or if even
Okay.
if kitchen selection is on. So as long as it's not set to auto and they don't push send,
Gotcha. Yeah.
then for like table orders, it will not send.
Okay, just that's something different. We're used to like the save button or send, like it automatically will send it all. So that's cool. Okay.
You do the auto and it will send it all
Right.
Right.
or what's left. Okay.
Okay.
Again,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no,
we'll have to make our little fake restaurants and see how it goes, and then do another round probably.
yeah, and with the menu programming, really the best thing to do is just if you're going to be making a fake restaurant, just find a menu online.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And use that to try to replicate it on the POS.
Oh yeah, I've got a million menus in my brain that I can even use current customers and stuff.
yeah, current customers.
That like we
need
really
that would
know.
work.
Yep.
It would be awesome. I've got a question kind of off subject. On the database, if and this is kind of maybe for demo and purposes, can you how hard is it? What's involved with like switching databases? So if I have, a casual dining versus a fast food or cashier environment, I know in the beginning there is an option under the databases that says change database. I mean, as long as everything else is set up normal like that, is that hard to do? Do you understand where my question's coming from?
Yeah. So yes, if you have multiple databases set up on this site, then for demo purposes, you can come in here, change connection. And then once it loads the servers, you'll see it'll automatically populate what it's currently set to. So as soon as that loads, you can actually see a list of the other databases, and switching to them is as simple as just selecting one of the other databases. Right here, we only have the one, but if there was another database already created, it would be on this list as well. So you could just switch between them.
So we could easily have, all of our, every database you ever make on one computer, and you just swap between them as needed and stuff.
And even there, if I just hit create new, database, everything else would stay the same. I wouldn't have to call you because I screwed something up.
Yeah, so it would, basically that wouldn't affect OCPLS demo at all.
Okay.
You would
It'd
just
be
have
a
a new
totally new,
database.
fresh with no
Yes.
settings set.
Yeah,
at
but
all.
I mean, with the passwords and names and all that stuff that we have set up, everything else would stay the same. It would just give me
The
an
only
empty-
thing that you'll want to do, so if you create a new database, it's going to pop up with this screen here after it's done. You just want to make sure this password is the same as
For
any other database on this computer, because that's tied to the server.
Yep.
And it doesn't change it if you change it here. Like if we actually change that and then try to open the back office, the back office won't load because the password is incorrect.
That's what happened
So
with
that
me
that
the
can
other
always,
day.
so that makes it kind of easier. That just always stays the same then.
Right.
Yeah,
All
so
right,
I'm sure we'll have a lot of menu databases on our computer, Stephen.
Yeah, I know. It's just look at right now. All right, man. I think that's
Yeah.
good for today, man. A lot of info. We'll obviously have to go back through the replay or the
Yeah,
video once
yeah.
you get it to us. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking your time to do this, and very excited about the opportunity. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we're excited to be working with you guys. This is hopefully we're all gonna, work out well from it and
yeah,
have
And
a,
like I
have a lot
said,
of new
if
customers.
you
Yeah.
do ever get another person that says the video's lagging, tell them to get off the browser. I just hate,
Yeah,
I just,
we'll
I just,
do-
I just
yeah.
hate, I just hate installing more stuff on my computer.
Yeah, it took especially Zoom. It took me a while before I
Right? It's like iTunes will never be on like any computer that I personally own. Like there's just so many programs like that that I'd never want.
all right.
Thank you.
Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
sounds good, Scott. Again,
a great
appreciate you,
day.
man.
All right, no problem. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, you too.